Hello everyone, I hope you are having an excellent day and welcome to the second episode of Let's Talk Sports with Samantha O'Connor. I'm your host Samantha, and on this show we are going to cover any and all sports things where I give my opinion while also providing any breaking news or headlines that there might be. In today's episode we're going to be talking about Major League Baseball's spring training. Alright, so let's just get right into it. For those of you who don't know spring training, this is preseason stuff for professional baseball players. This is where teams will bring in a good amount of players and see who's going to make the roster for opening day and the regular season. So, strong teams. Alright, again, this is like last week's episode with Formula 1 testing. It's a small sample size, and you take it with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes what you see in spring training is not exactly what is going to be appearing on the field for regular season. So you really never know. Take what you see with very minimum stuff. But strong teams, I mean, Dodgers, Yankees are up there probably, like, you know, your general culprits that are generally always doing good. They're looking pretty strong. I mean, there's not much to say about the Dodgers this year other than the fact that they are a powerhouse again. They're going to be favorites for the World Series again. They essentially have like two super powered rosters. So yeah, they're obviously up there. I know the Yankees are dealing with injuries, which we will get into later in this episode, but I still think they are looking pretty strong. I would even roll in the Mets. I mean, with the additions that they made, like with Soto and such, like, I think they probably are going to be another strong team to look out for. Weak teams, again, similar to strong teams, you have your normal people of like the Pirates, White Sox, the A's. They're not having terrible springs, but they aren't having amazing springs that would make you kind of think, okay, this year's going to be different. The one surprise team that I want to talk about, and I might be a bit biased because I'm an Angels fan, but I think the Angels are going to be an underdog surprise team this season. They're not having a great spring training year, but they're not having it terrible. They're sitting around 500 for their record right now, and I think that's where everyone kind of expects them to be. But I think, and maybe because I am an Angels fan, I see more of the behind the scenes stuff dealing with like the clubhouse and stuff. But I think they have a good group, a good solid balanced group of veterans. Like, they have Tyler Anderson, they brought in Travis d'Arnaud, Jorge Soler. I think them with our can't forget Mike Trout, of course, but I think with the younger guys of like Logan O'Hoppe, Zachary Neto, like any of those, I think they have a good balance, and they're gonna be a surprise team to look out for. Alrighty, so let's move on from teams and let's talk about the injuries. I mentioned the Yankees earlier. They are the main ones that are getting hit right now. News just broke that Garrett Cole is going to be out for the season. He's getting another Tommy John surgery, which is a blow to their starting rotation. Giancarlo Stanton is also out for a period of time. The Yankees are saying that he could return by like April, but he tore both tendons in both elbows, and we all know that Stanton is very injury prone, and I feel like it's unlikely that he'll be back by April, but again, you never know. He could return and then just get hurt again. DJ LeMahieu is also out right now for them. He had a left calf strain in one of their spring training games. He is expected to be back by April, but there's no confirmation whether or not Stanton or LeMahieu will be ready for opening day. LeMahieu probably has more of a chance to be than Stanton, just because a calf strain is easier to come back from than a torn tendon, but you never know. And then I'm just looking at the transactions, like the injury transactions that the Yankees have had, they have, let's count this up. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They have 9 pitchers right now that are not playing in spring training because they are dealing with some kind of injury. Like Luis Gil, who's one of their starting pitchers as well. He's probably going to be out by June because of a strain that he's dealing with. And the Yankees are going to be strong no matter what. I think they're always going to be a dangerous team to look out for and make sure that they are on your radar. But their pitching is taking a hit right now, and I think other teams need to use that to their advantage, because not that they don't have good young guys or like good depth, but certainly something to look out for. So yeah, moving on to free agency. Now we are, at the time of filming this, we are halfway through spring training and getting closer to opening day, and there are still some notable free agents out there that have gone unsigned. One of those being Anthony Rizzo. Now, he's 35 years old, and the last season he was very injury prone, dealing with concussions and different stuff, and I think he is getting to the tail end of his career, and he will probably be retiring in the next few years, but he's still a good contender. Like, he's a great defensive first baseman. Kind of struggles a little bit offensively sometimes, but he comes through most of the time when you need him to. Now, the time that I'm filming this, there are reports that he might be reuniting with the Yankees due to all the injuries that we just talked about. It is very possible that he is going back to the Yankees, which is what I imagined at the end of last season. I was surprised when the Yankees originally said that they weren't going to re-sign him and bring him back, but it's looking like that might be the case, so good for him. The next free agent is JD Martinez. He's primarily a DH now, and he's 37 years old, so he's definitely on the older end, and probably, I think if he doesn't get signed anywhere, he's probably going to retire. I mentioned the Angels earlier. I thought that they were going to go after him, just because we hadn't had confirmation that Mike Trout was moving to right field, and was going to take up a right field DH spot, and that was also before we signed Jorge Soler, who's also primarily a DH. So now I don't think it would work out, but originally I did think that JD Martinez would be going to the Halos team for this upcoming season. Other free agents, you have James McCann, and Alex Verdugo. Both of them are in talks, one with the Braves and one with the Royals as of filming this. Nothing's concrete there, but they might be on their way to getting a sign. I am surprised, however, that Alex Verdugo didn't get picked up anywhere. I know that he hasn't been necessarily great the last season or so, but he's still a young, like, he's only 28 years old right now. And, I mean, we saw what he did in Boston. He was pretty good there. So I was a little surprised. And then you just have some pitchers, all of which are 35, 36. You have Joe Kelly, Craig Kimbrell, and Patrick Corbin. Joe Kelly just didn't have a spot on the Dodgers. They didn't want to bring him back. They have way too much pitching right now. They have enough where their starting pitchers could probably go into a bullpen spot, which is kind of crazy, but it's the Dodgers that we're talking about. But yeah, I think all three of them are going to struggle finding a team this year. But those lower teams, like I mentioned earlier with like the White Sox or the A's, those guys that are constantly moving in and out guys, I think the three of them might find spots on teams like that. So our last thing that we're going to cover is going to be the ABS system that's being worked through spring training this year. For those of you who don't know, ABS stands for Automated Ball Strike Challenge System. So essentially a pitcher or a batter is able to challenge a pitch, a called pitch. So if, say, the umpire called the pitch a strike and the batter thought it was a ball, they're able to, I think they tap their helmet and call for a review, and then sometimes it gets overturned and sometimes it stands and whatnot. It's interesting. We've heard some mixed reviews on it. Some people like it, some don't. Personally, I do, but I don't. I think it is good because sometimes umpires will really mess up a game. Like, they are very important to the game, and they make one bad call and it changes the trajectory of the entire game. So having the option to challenge pitches is nice, but at the same time I feel like it takes away such a good part of the game. Like, catcher's framing is such an art at this point. Like, if you think about Yadier Molina or just other, or Buster Posey, they were both very good at framing pitches and stealing calls, essentially. And I think that's such a good aspect of the game, although it is annoying when you're on the offensive end and you're being screwed over by a stolen pitch, but it is what it is. I don't want the ABS system coming to the MLB. I think it just changes too much of the game, and I mean, sucky umpires is part of the game as much as it's annoying, and as much as you yell at your TV or the umpires in person or whatnot, it's a part of the game, and personally I don't think it should be adapted. But on the topic of rules, there have been some rules brought up this past offseason, like the golden at bat rule. For those of you who don't know, that's a rule where essentially teams are given one pass to, at any point in the game, they're given one pass to allow one batter to bat wherever. So say it's the bottom of the ninth, bases are loaded. I'll use the Dodgers for example. Their number 9 hitter is up to bat. Bases are loaded. Say Dave Roberts just doesn't want that batter batting. He could call upon Shohei Ohtani or Freddie Freeman or someone to take that at bat instead. It's interesting. Personally, again, I don't like it. I think you never know in those big moments, you never know who's gonna come through. And I think if you just call upon, the big names or the big powerhouses like that, like Shohei Ohtani or Freddie Freeman, that it kind of takes away confidence from the guys that you're replacing. Yeah, they'll understand it's a business, whatnot, but I think it just takes away a big part of the game. You never know who's going to step up, who's going to do well, who's going to do this. So I don't think the rules should be adapted. I'm pretty sure Rob Manfred has said that it wouldn't be for the next few years, but again, you never know. So yeah, that's all I have to talk about today. It's all the time we have for today, so thank you for listening and tuning in. Keep an eye and an ear out for the next episode, which will be the NHL, and we're gonna cover the trade deadline that just passed and any news on the upcoming playoffs. Alrighty, thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye!